All right, so I've been looking for a new ATV. I go into the store and I thought buying a new four-wheeler or a new 6x6 would be a good idea because I don't want to break down and I don't want to spend a lot of money fixing the junk I got and still having an old engine. A new 6x6 is $10,000 and that's for a stripped down one. That's ridiculous. But a new four-wheeler that's like 800 to 1000 cc is like $12,000. That is out of that. It's just insane for a four-wheeler. Nothing special, just a bigger engine. So if I'm going to go that route, I started looking at side-by-sides. So I started thinking a couple of months ago. I started deciding to look for one about 2 months ago. And ever since I went into the store and started doing research, I'm more confused now than ever. There are 6 major brands: Polaris, Yamaha, Honda, Can-Am, Kawasaki, and was Arctic, now is Textron. Okay, so let me narrow down my feelings and what I would go with. Kawasaki, I'm not doing Kawasaki. The reason I will not do Kawasaki, everybody I've known growing up that's had one, and even to this day, is still rebuilding them. I don't know if it's just bad luck, people beat the crap out of these things and they don't hold up, or what it is, but everyone that's had a Kawasaki, it's always broken the corner and being rebuilt. So I'm just not doing it. I've never owned one. I'm never going to. Arctic, Textron, I think that the Switch right now is too new. I don't like the way they look anyways. I see they're getting really good reviews with different things, but I've seen some goofy stuff for the style that I'm looking at. It's not for me, not right now. I'm sure Textron in the future is probably going to be a really strong contender. Polaris, man, they are the top of the food chain, I think, right now. They're winning most of the races. The Razor is everywhere. The Ranger is everywhere. The parts failures are everywhere, and there's a ton of aftermarket parts. So I don't know if that's good or if that's bad. I really don't. I guess the good is that Polaris is everywhere, the videos are everywhere, and there's tons of aftermarket parts. Why are there so many parts? Because there's so many problems. So I really don't know about Polaris. I think it's the top of their game. I think they sell more than anybody. I could be wrong, but I think there's a reason. I think there's a reason so many people buy new Polarises, because their old ones wear out so fast. That's just me. I own one. I know what I do with it, and I know it shouldn't be that worn out. That's my thoughts. Yamaha. I've had 2 growing up. 3-wheeler with reverse, which was awesome at the time, and a Warrior 350 6-speed. Beat the shit out of both of them. They never failed. They never broke down. I always had fun with them. Honda. The thing about Honda, that was my first experience with the 3-wheelers, a 200 ES, I think. And that was like 83, maybe, which means I'm old. So Hondas, you know what, with Hondas, if you go on Craigslist today, I'm sure you could find a big red, like an 85 big red that still runs, or a 4-tracks. So, you know what I mean? Like, no other brand does that. You could go on today and find a Honda, an 80s Honda that still starts and runs and hasn't been rebuilt. There literally is no other brand that does that, unless they've been mint. But I mean, you can find one today with no plastics left on it that'll still start and run. So that says something about Honda. Can-Am has got the best reviewers on the video on YouTube. People that drive Can-Am love Can-Am. They are Can-Am everything. They buy one, they buy two, and then they own a ton of them. They lift them, they mud them, they race them. It seems to me like once you go Can-Am, you just stay Can-Am. I could be wrong, but if you start watching these videos to review what you're thinking about buying, that's definitely one of them brands where they get into them and then that's it. They forget it. Everything's Can-Am. So that gave me a lot of confusion when I was looking to buy one. So I had to go back to what was I buying one for? My main thing, I put it in order. My main thing is to plow my driveway. That is number one use of importance. Number two, and will get used mostly for, is hunting. Putting up tree stands, taking down tree stands, hauling deer, hauling my butt, hauling whatever. That's probably what I'm mostly going to use this thing for. And a lot of the reasons around what I'm looking for is hunting. So, but if of importance, it's going to be plowing the driveway, then hunting. And then number three is just enjoying it. Trail riding, camping, doing crap around the yard. Okay, me having a six-wheeler with a dump bed actually led, and it has a plow, it has a really big plow too. Actually led to, I didn't have one, I got one, and now I can't live without one. It's made a lot of things around my house easy. Having a plow instead of a truck or a snow blower, and definitely a shovel in my driveway, it's been really important. Like, that thing has to run when it snows. Doing yard work around here, having a dump bed became very important. You don't want to destroy your truck, but it's just small enough but just big enough to use all the time for shit around the house. So having a dump bed became important. So that narrowed down what I was looking for, what kind I was looking for, because there's sport, there's utility, and then there's a mix. So utility is great, but they're heavy, they're slow, and for some reason they are really expensive. They start getting into diesel. I'm not looking for that crap. So no Kubotas. Bobcat even makes one with all these attachments. It's really cool if you're going to do nothing but crazy work, you know, but you're not trail riding with these things. You're not going in a mud hole and getting out. They're just too heavy. So what that does is that narrows me down to a sport utility mix, right? So the sport ones, which is great, it's what Steve has. Those are for just having fun, long suspension travel, doing some jumps, going fast, trail riding crazy shit, doing a lot of cool shit. The way you get in, the way you strap in, the way you sit down into them, like, that's all made for just having a good time. You can use them for the other, you know, for doing yard work and whatever. Some have little tiny beds in the back, but that's not my goal here. So I was looking at the midline, the sport utility. So once again, I'm going to go back to the brands and what they offer, right? Polaris makes a General. It's called the General, and it is badass. And it is like a pickup truck inside with a really good bed. It's nowhere near as ugly as the Ranger. It has long travel, and it's just a really nice machine, right? They sell three, maybe four different styles. And of course, that comes with price, right? But if I'm only going 1,000 cc, 800 on up, right? Because my feeling is that if you buy 1,000 cc now, which is the biggest that they're selling, I believe, in 5 years to 10 years, because it's probably the only one I'm going to buy. It's going to be the baby of the bunch, right? back when they were coming out with 500s, it was, oh my God, that's ridiculous. Who needs a 500? Now they start at 500s and are going 2000s. So that's just how it's going to be. It's how it's always been. 5 years from now, 1000 is going to be the small one, and they're going to be doing 1700s or whatever the hell they're going to do. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at 1000 cc's, right? So Polaris has a General. They look awesome. They feel awesome. So that was definitely a contender that I really looked into. Yamaha makes a Viking, and they make a Wolverine. The Viking, I believe these are 2 or 3 seaters, and the Wolverine is actually, the General is only a 2-seater with a column between you, with a console between you. The Viking, I think, is a 3-seater, which is fine. Like I said, I just want it hunting, me and 2 somebodies, whatever. Gear. The Wolverine is a 4-seater with these little slide forward seats, so you have more access to the bed. That's cool. That's a pretty neat feature. I hate the way they look, the Viking or the Wolverine. Especially with being a Yamaha guy, it's a real disappointment because I find them so ugly. I just won't even buy them. I've sat in them. They just seem cheap to me. They seem chintzy. I just couldn't do it. I knocked them right off the list. That's me. I've watched all the reviews. They completely contend right with the class, the price range, and the size that I was looking for, but they are just butt ugly to me, and I won't do it. So it's hard to spend a lot of money on something that you just don't enjoy looking at. The Honda Pioneer. They make Honda, for some reason, Honda, I believe, only makes Pioneer. They don't have a sport one and a utility one and a both one. So it's just, I believe it's just a Pioneer. They sell a 700, which is a 4-seater, and they sell 1000, which is a 5-seater. The 5-seater is 3 in front. The bed folds into 2 extra seats. It's pretty neat. And it reminds me of the General. Not as cool looking. I don't believe the suspension travels as much, but the seating's different. It doesn't have a console in the middle. It's a 3-seater bench seat, so that was nice. Can-Am. People love Can-Ams, like I said. A ton of people love the Commander. So that was a top priority for me to go check out this one. And the Defender is more utility, but I like the way the bed on the Commander does not dump. And for what I've done with my 6-wheeler, I wanted a bed that would dump. So it was like the Commander and the Defender. I had to look at the Defender. It's more of a work one, but it's got a lot of the same characteristics. Maybe not so much travel and suspension, but remember what my order was of importance. Trail riding was the last one, you know. Okay. So once I had finally got to there, after probably a month of hemming and hawing and just watching a ton of videos and looking at specs and looking at what's out there for these things and what, if I bought one, where is it going? Am I going to get parts? How many people own these things? You know, things like that. I had owned an Odes 4-wheeler in the past, and you can't get parts for an Odes. So I wondered about that and a CF Moto, because those machines look pretty good, and they're almost, 2/3 the price. So it seems like you're getting a great value until, like on this Odes, I needed a rod. It had blown a rod until they don't sell you any parts. So you got a great value until it blows up, and then it's disposable. You throw it away because you can't get any parts for it. So you got to be really aware of these brands. You might save money up front, but when something happens to it 3 years to 5 years to 10 years later, and you don't want to go buy a new one, well, you did not save any money up front because the thing's junk. You now have to go buy a whole new machine because you can't buy parts for them. So do your research before you buy an off-brand. So going back to what I was looking at, I decided to go to a store and look at the General, sit in the General. I had to do some traveling because it'd be nice if one store sold all these brands, but they just don't. Polaris seems to be everywhere, at least in my area. So we go sit in the General. The General's nice. The General fits my fat ass. I weigh 250 pounds. I'm 6'2", and I sit in it. It fit really well. It wasn't cramped. It comes with doors. That's another thing. The Commander and the Defender, the Can-Ams, do not come with doors. You have to buy them separate, and they're a lot of money, and they shouldn't be. They really shouldn't be, man. I work on cars, and these doors are just made out of plastic, like a garbage can. They should not cost that much. So buying one that already has doors in it, it just seems like a better idea than buying one that doesn't and then having to spend more money on this shit later. So the General comes with doors. I really like the General. The General doesn't have a crazy big bed and is more of a trail rider, and it was a little too nice for me, and it was just too much sport, I guess. But it was a good contender. So I was right there, like that was at top of my list. Yamaha, too ugly, not looking at them. Honda Pioneer, the only thing they make, I believe. They're awesome. I got in the thing. I fit in it really good. And my idea was getting in this thing with hunting clothes on and boots, and it's cold as shit out, and just throwing my crap in the back. So the bed seems huge. The cab getting in seems awesome. Has a full roll cage on the 5-seaters, and seems like an all-around decent machine, except there's certain models that seem to add a lot of cool stuff, but for a pretty big price tag and not really important. So that was a consideration too, because there's an LE that comes with painted panels, nicer wheels. I don't think it comes with a roof. I don't think any of them come with a roof, which is another big expense. So that was the next contender. To me, that was a little bit wider, a little bit more utility than a General, but close to what the General was. So then I really wanted to look at Can-Am. Can-Am's got tons of good reviews, right? Tons of people own these things. Commander. I got in the Commander. I'm all happy. I just don't fit in it. Man, like I said, I'm 250, 6'2". I get in the Commander, and I'm good. If we're going cruising, I'm probably good. I'm going to be strapped in there. If we flip over, I'm not moving. But if I have to get in and out with hunting clothes on and muddy boots and grab a gun, I am going to hate this machine. And I'm going to hate the fact that I have to buy aftermarket doors or factory junk doors to put on this thing once I buy it, because it doesn't have any doors. I was a little disappointed because I really wanted to like Can-Am because I'd seen so many good videos of them. I thought the 2-stage bed, there's a bed in the back. I don't know if it dumps or not. I can't remember. I almost think it was an option. Like you buy one that does and one that doesn't. But I had 2-stage bed, so the top, you put all your shit in, and then it had a drawer. You could put some more shit under it. So that one was a little disappointing just because of my size. The machine itself seems capable. So my size, I didn't fit in the seats. The seats were tipped back a little bit more like a sport one, which is comfortable but not easy to get in and out of constantly. And it didn't come with doors. So that's a big factor. You're not going to spend 15 grand or whatever that thing was and then spend another $800 on doors. It's just stupid. They should come with doors. So I went to the Defender. Now, the Defender it's super close. It's a different design, right? But it's super close. So you got all the balls of a Can-Am, and you have a bench seat, which is so much easier to get in and out of, especially if you got boots on and you're going to be hunting with it or just stopping and checking stuff. I mean, just to get in and out of it, a Defender seems awesome, right? It's got a big, huge cab. Depending on the kind you want, you can put big-ass tires on it. They sell an XMR. I believe that's their mudding version. It has big tires on it. You got to look up the videos. These guys are going through crazy stuff with stock. And it's really awesome. So that was a huge contender. So after sitting in the General, the Pioneer, and the Defender, I was even still confused, more confused, and had to do more thinking, right? Because I'm still not stuck on a brand. Because I'm too old to care what people think, and I'm too old to want to not buy what's correct for me, okay? I don't care what your brand is. I don't care if I love an Odes. If that was the one for me, that's what I was going to buy. So I looked at the General. Man, I'm telling you that machine is awesome. I looked at the Pioneer. That machine is awesome. And I looked at the Defender. That thing is awesome. So I'm stuck between three machines, okay? They're all very capable. They're all right around the same price range depending on the package you get. Okay, you can get a Defender, bottom line, all the way up to the XMR, which is pimped out, mud ready. The General, I think you can even get a high lifter General with his mud tires and lifted and all types of crazy stuff, right down to the plain plastics and steel wheels. Same thing with the Pioneer. Pioneer, you can go base model right up to the pimped out awesome version. So these are the three vehicles I'm looking at, and on the next episode I'm going to tell you what I picked, why I picked it, and my plans with it. So thanks for watching. I hope, if anything, I've helped out with just one piece of information for you guys that are doing what I was doing and searching the internet for the next 2 months, trying to find what's right for you, because there are so many differences that I did not know about or even think about when buying one of these machines. So I hope I've helped out just a little bit. Next time we're going to go over what I did buy and why. Thanks for watching.